And so I say all that to say this, like what you listen to, what you watch, and who you hang around with is either building you up or they're breaking you down. And you have to identify what that is in your particular scenario, in your particular situation, in your life. Who is in your corner that is building you up? Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Beyond the Surface podcast. I am very grateful for you guys to be here with me once again. This is part 3 of the Conscious Living book series. So if you have not listened to part 2 or part 1, please go back and refresh yourself. But I want to start off by saying, if you don't change the way that you think, you'll never change the way that you live. Like your mindset is either going to be the reason that you stay stuck or the reason you rise, right? So if your life hasn't changed, maybe it's not your circumstances. Maybe it's the way that you're thinking. And so in this episode, I'm going to break down the exact mindset shift that I made to change my life. We're going to talk about how to recognize your limiting beliefs, rewire your thinking, and then most importantly, helping you guys build a strong mental foundation that does support the life that you guys want to live. Because the truth of the matter is, you're not able to grow outward until you're able to grow inward. And so, the prior version of the Michael that you see now, my belief system when it pertained to success was that it was all based on timing, right? So timing in the aspect of you had to be at the right place at the right time. And also too, if things weren't working quickly enough, if there was a lot of difficulty in the actions that I was taking and getting the results I wanted, then in my mind it was like, okay, then I need to pivot, right? I need to. This isn't the area that I should be in. I need to be doing something different. And so a lot of my earlier career, you would see, 6 months at one place, and 1 year at this job, and 11 months at this job, and so I was always like trying to climb the ladder, but I wasn't doing it one ring at a time. I was literally like trying to jump from like one ring to, or, one step, whatever, to like step 5. I was just trying to get to the top as soon as I possibly could. And I was going about it the wrong way. And so I didn't really understand what mindset was. I was never privy to the idea or the concept because, one, just lack of not knowing. 2, I didn't have an environment in which folks were talking about that type of stuff, or I wasn't seeing people, take action and really give me a real life view of what it meant to tap into your mindset and what it meant to excel and what it meant to develop yourself. And so prior to my particular journey, I didn't know what mindset was. And so I was reacting to life pretty much probably like you are, or you were at some point in time. Most of America, where it's like you're just being reactive, right? So, I was just taking what life gave me, and in any scenario where if life threw a curveball at me financially, if life threw whatever at me, I was just like, okay, I'm just reacting to what life is giving me. And as I talked about before, I wasn't like deliberately like choosing my choices. I wasn't deliberately taking action, right? I wasn't being proactive, so to speak. And so, obviously looking back on it now, no wonder I wasn't shaping the future that I wanted. No wonder I wasn't living the life that I wanted, because I was living it on someone else's time. I was living it on, just the fact that if success comes, it comes. I was going to force myself to try and get to it. And I really just wasn't taking the right steps. I really wasn't thinking properly. And it wasn't really until I started feeding my mind with truth and growth that I saw, just how much my thinking was impacting my results. How much my limited beliefs was were keeping me from achieving the things that I wanted to achieve, keeping me of living the life that I wanted to live. And that was a very, very pinnacle time for me, because it really opened up my eyes as to what was possible, because I was seeing other people being successful. I was seeing other people live the life that I wanted. I was seeing people have the things, right? Um, but I was always just like oblivious as to the fact that how they were getting it, until I got to a point where it was like, I got to my lowest of my low, right? And I got to a point where I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired, and really just started analyzing the situation. And I'm like, well, if these people are doing it and they have the life, then there must be something that I can do too, because they can't just be the only ones, right? And so, at that time, I started really digging into, motivational speakers, people like Les Brown, Jim Rohn. Like, I started listening to their content on YouTube, and I really started to change the way that I moved, in life. And obviously that changed how I operated, that changed how I think, that changed how I made decisions, changed how I reacted to situations. And so, yeah, I remember, normally I would, on my way to work, I'd be, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm jamming out to some rap music, you know what I mean? And I would listen to music on my break. I would listen to music when I come home. And when I really started to transform the way that I was thinking, I stopped playing music. And instead, I put on a podcast. Instead, I put on more motivational talks from YouTube. And I would just listen to these folks over and over again. And a lot of the content that they were between the different speakers and who I was listening to, they're all saying similar things. They're all the message was the same, and it was feed yourself with positivity, talk positive about yourself, see yourself as who you want to be in the present, rather than waiting for the future. And so that programming that I put myself through really started to change and shape who I was becoming. And I can definitely recognize the change in myself. I'm sure that there were folks around me that saw the change in me as well, basically as to who I was operating around, who I was learning from, the things that I was listening to. I started reading books, even though I hate reading, or at least I hated reading back then. But listening to audibles, things of that nature. So I really just changed my whole regimen. I really just had to change the way that I was operating, because I've been doing it for so long, but it wasn't giving me the results that I was craving for. And so one of the key takeaways that I want you guys to understand is that you're not stuck, right? You're just rooted in your old beliefs, the things that you've become accustomed to know and to learn and to indoctrinate in your living, in your lifestyle, how you operate, how you talk, how you move, how you think, what you believe, what you don't believe. Like, those things are all indoctrinated in you, and it's up to you guys, right, to then find your way out of that, find your way moving from a fixed mindset and gravitating towards a growth mindset. So in simple terms, a fixed mindset tells you, this is just how I am. Right? That's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset reminds you that you can become someone new. You're always forwardly thinking. You're optimistic. You're not pessimistic, right? And growth mindset, that encourages a lot of self-awareness. Where are you guys holding yourselves back? What area of your life are you holding yourselves back from by utilizing the old scripts that you've become accustomed to? What areas are those? Right? If you can identify those particular areas, now we can name it. Now we can start making changes to it. But if you're oblivious to what is going wrong in your life, then obviously there's no self-awareness. We can't make any changes to what we don't know, what we can't see, right? So the first step I've always talked about, and I've done for myself, is become self-aware of how I'm operating. And so that leads me to my second point, which is you must observe before you can transform, right? So observe your thoughts without any judgment, right? So grab a pen and paper and just jot down throughout the day, or take notes in your phone or wherever that's convenient for you. But just start to jot down, like, what are some of the thoughts that keep recurring in your head? Do you find yourself saying, "Oh, this is hard," or "I can't do this," or "I'm not good at that," whatever those recurring thoughts are, start taking a mental note or start writing them down somewhere, right? So that way we can start to observe, what are we thinking on a daily basis, right? Even write down your actions of how you deal with you know, a conversation with your boss, whether it's, you know, a heated conversation or a conversation with your spouse or your loved one. How do you react? Do you shut down? Do you get loud? Do you get boisterous? Do you get aggressive? Like, start making an observation. And then once you make the observation, then start to question if those are based on truth or if they're based on fear. If you start to recognize your thoughts, you need to start questioning, well, okay, wait, why do I think that? Is that because something has something transpired in my previous life that has warranted that thought? I'm not good enough. Is that true? Is that really true for me? Because if I look back at my history, I've done X, Y, and Z. I've graduated college. I graduated high school. I got a doctorate. Whatever, right? Like, really start to question those beliefs and figure out if there is truth and validity to those, or if it's just you being fearful. And then once you've questioned them and you find out the basis of where they've derived from, now you need to redirect them with small, consistent action, right? So start taking action in the right direction on the things that you've questioned about yourself, the things that you've started to observe about yourself. I'm not good enough. Okay, well, let's just figure out one thing that we can do to be good enough in that moment, in that day, in that week, and just be consistent at that. All right. So, for example, if one of your limiting beliefs or your thoughts is that you're not good enough to get a raise. We'll just use that. If you're not good enough to get a raise, right? You're not good enough at your job or whatever. Let's challenge that, right? So show up the next day, and I want you to get yourself involved in your work like you've never done before. I want you to go to your peers or your superior or whoever and ask more questions and ask to be put in different projects and ask to be given more responsibility, right? Take small actions to change the narrative for yourself, because if you don't ever change the narrative, then obviously the narrative never changes, and you're still going to have those same limiting beliefs, and you're going to be right where you are right now, which is where you don't want to be. So you got to make sure that you are observing what it is that you're thinking without any judgment. Don't be cruel to yourself. Don't, why would I think that? I'm crazy for thinking that. I shouldn't be thinking that. I should know better. Don't do that. Don't judge yourself, right? So just observe how you're thinking, okay? Secondly, is to then question, is that based on fear, or is that based on some truth? Is there experience that I've had that has led me to believe what I believe? And then thirdly is to redirect those thoughts, those questions, into taking small, consistent action that is moving you out of that belief. Okay, that's exactly what I did early on in my journey, and I'm still doing now, because I don't think one is ever healed fully. So there's always work that I can be doing on myself, and so I'm always observing. Like, okay, how am I thinking in the situation? And I will tell you that as you get further along in your journey, you get a lot better. You get a lot, and things come a lot quicker in regards to your self-awareness, right? You're able to pick up, I said that. Ooh, okay, I'm getting angry, or I feel like I'm about to lash out, or I caught myself from saying this negative thing about myself, right? You get quicker at it because you've done it with repetition. And that brings me to my third and final point, in that your environment is feeding your thoughts. Now, this is massive, because I'm going to use an example that's widely used and it's easily used. But my family lived in the projects. Some of you guys may know it as the ghetto, like in very impoverished environments, which drug and alcohol was very, very present, right? And violence was very present. And most people didn't go to college. Most people barely even graduate high school. Most of the females got pregnant very early on, right? Like, your only mindset at that time, your environment is molding you just for survival and survival only. And so that's by any means necessary, right? And so no one's thinking like, oh, I need to go read this self-help book, right? No one's thinking like, oh, I probably shouldn't be hanging around, this particular crowd because they're going to get me in some trouble. Like, no one's thinking outwardly. And so again, they're all being encapsulated by what they're seeing and how others are talking, how others are acting, what they're doing, what are their experiences. And so you just end up soaking that up. And so I say all that to say this, like, what you listen to, what you watch, and who you hang around with is either building you up or they're breaking you down. And you have to identify what that is in your particular scenario, in your particular situation, in your life. Who is in your corner that is building you up? Who has your back? Who's always talking positive and reinforcing positive things in your life and helping you gravitate towards a growth mindset? And on the other side, who in your circle is like always talking negative? Who in your circle is like ever only doing bad things or things that are not leading to the life that you want to have, right? Who's talking negative to you? Like, you have to be able to identify those folks, and then you have to be able to make a very wise and conscious decision of, okay, so this particular environment, these particular people, they're not serving me in the way I need to be served. They're not helping me grow. They're not helping me move beyond. So I need to cut all losses. Like, we could still be cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna still dap you up when I see you. We could still chop it up over the phone. It's not gonna be a long periods of time, but for the most part, I'm going my separate ways. You guys do what you guys do. That's cool. No judgment. I'm going to go do what I need to do. And there were people in my life, family included, that I had to like really cut off. You know what I'm saying? Like, really step aside and be like, okay, you get a very limited piece of my time. And what you say, it's going one ear and out the other. You know what I mean? Because I'm a person who leads by action. I don't really care what you say for the most part, right? I really don't care what you say. Show me. And I will tell you that you guys can't grow new roots if you keep planting yourself in toxic soil. If you keep surrounding yourself with people that aren't doing much or that are doing the same thing that they've been doing since high school, bro, what are we doing? Do you really want to advance yourself and move beyond where you are, or is it just talk? Right? Like, you got to change your environment, bro. Like, you have to make some very critical decisions as to who you're allowing in your circle. Who are you allowing to influence you? Who are you allowing to, push you and aiding in your positive energy? It's super important. And you also got to choose the right voices that will stretch your thinking. That's why I had to go listen to people that were not inside my circle. I had to go listen to people that were outside my circle that were doing, thinking, behaving the way that I wanted to. People that were well more versatile and experienced in the realm of personal development. People that were thinking bigger. They had a vision. All right, so I'm going to give you guys 3 practical shifts that you guys can make immediately in your life right now that will change the directory of where you guys are headed. Number 1, change your music. So replace your music with podcasts or motivational speakers or talks, inspirational things like that. Like, when you're in the car, that is a perfect time to be priming your brain, rewiring your thought process, rewiring your system, right, with positivity. And so, listening to people like I said before, Jim Rohn was a big one for me. I still listen to him. I love his voice. I love his message. Les Brown was amazing. Tony Robbins, Myron Golden is another guy. Like, these are all profound educators and people of wisdom that really built their lives around sharing their knowledge and helping other people grow and change. So start listening to that type of material rather than just the music that you listen to in your car. I would say choose voices that stretch your thinking. So again, the same folks that I just mentioned, like, start listening to people that are big thinkers, that are visionaries, that are thinking beyond the way that you think. Maybe they think the way that you want to think, right? And they're always thinking positively, and they're pushing beyond the surface of dealing with trauma and negativity and limiting beliefs, and just all of that, right? Start listening to folks that are really going to help you think outside of how you have been. That's really going to stretch your capacity for you to obviously learn more and for you to grow a lot quicker. And that definitely helped me a lot. And I still do it to this day. Don't get me wrong. I love my music. But there's a time and a place. And the last shift that I would tell you is you got to audit your circle. Are they keeping you small? Some of you guys are really going to have to make some very strong decisions in the near future about the circle you have and the friendships you have. Like, some of you guys have been hanging around the same people since pre-K, right? You guys have been boys, you guys have been girls since knee high to a grasshopper. You know what I mean? And so, yes, that's going to be surface level. It's going to be a pretty hard decision for you. But is it really? Does it really need to be a hard decision? I mean, we have stay the same, live the same life that you've been living, or we have progress in life, become the person that you want to become, win, be successful, learn new things, travel, smile, live with joy, happiness. I don't think it's that much of a hard of a difference or hard of a choice to make, but I totally get it because I've had to make the same choice myself. And again, I'm not saying that you have to completely kick those people off to the curb, but you are going to have to distance yourself. You are going to have to stop going to the parties that you've been invited to. You're going to have to, guy asks you, hey, let's go for a drink after work. It's like, nah, man, I got to go home to my family. I got to go home and read. I got to go home and study. I got to go home and put together this vision plan for the next 5 years, what that's going to look like. What are my actions going to take? What are the goals I want to commit to? Like, I got stuff to do, bro. So really just audit your circle. All right. And then I want to leave you guys with this final thought. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you plant new thoughts, you water them daily, and you protect what you're building. So if this episode resonated with you guys, I encourage you to dive deeper into chapter 3 of Conscious Living, my new book. You can go and purchase it on Amazon. Link is in the show notes. Again, please feel free to DM me the word mindset on my IG at Michael_A_Benton. I'd love to hear about what, limiting beliefs you're letting go of. And again, if this episode helped you shift anything, something small, please share it with someone that needs that same breakthrough. As I always tell you guys, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me once again. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace out, guys.